Welcome to this week's edition of Peomiosfyrds. I'm Colton Hagstrom, and joined alongside me is Alex Berggren and Blake Harmon. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking.
Doing great, Colton. Just glad to be back here. It was a good weekend. Little sad that it's Monday, but I don't know about you guys, but I've got a pretty decent week this week. So.
Oh yeah, it'll be easy. No midterms for me.
Got the conclusion of the World Series coming up for my Chicago Cubs, so excited to see how that's going to play out.
Yeah, I'm also doing very well, and let's get right into the Warhawk Roundup. The 7th-ranked UW-Whitewater women's soccer team finished their regular season with their 17th straight win this Saturday against UW-Stevens Point. The Warhawks won the game 3-0. UW-Whitewater will host the WIAC Conference Tournament starting this Tuesday. The Warhawks are the number 1 seed and will play the lowest remaining seed on Thursday. The number 2-ranked UW-Whitewater football team remained undefeated this weekend when they defeated the UW-Eau Claire Blue Golds 48-6. Drew Patterson's top play continued as he finished the game with 4 touchdowns. The defense finished with 5 sacks and forced 3 turnovers and a dominant performance. The Warhawks will play the regular season home finale this Saturday against UW River Falls. What did you guys think of the football game this weekend?
I'm really impressed with Cole Wilbur. He's only a sophomore, and so far this year he's had 1,248 yards. So I'm super impressed with him.
I agree. He's playing great. Their quarterback situation is really interesting because you've got Cole Wilbur, who's playing well, but also this past week they brought in Chris Nelson, who also played really well for the remainder of the game that he was in. Also, you just can't not acknowledge Drew Patterson. Like you said earlier, his play is just so hot right now, and it's just, he's really just putting on a show every time he steps out on that field, and it's really something to watch. Yeah,
this weekend, UW-Whitewater, the second best team in the nation for D3. UW-Eau Claire just did not stand a chance. They're at 2-5 now with the loss, and they're just really not up to par with the Whitewater football team. Drew Patterson, 4 touchdowns in the day, but another big player was Marcus Hudson, the senior receiver. He finished with 114 receiving yards, and he actually also had a 73-yard touchdown run. So his play in the game was very special.
We've talked about it before. If there's anything that they need to improve, it's opening up their receiving game a little bit. And I think Marcus Hudson, that's a good sign. Seeing him kind of start to get hot here, especially, going into just our last couple games here before the postseason. So I think if he's going to, continue to turn it up a little bit here, the Warhawks can be dangerous in the playoffs.
Do you guys think that they'll go undefeated?
I do think they will go undefeated. I believe that the team really that stands in the way, the same team almost every year, is Mount Union. So this Saturday is actually the regular season home finale. Also means it's senior day. Do you guys think that Chris Nelson should get the start over Cole Wilbur in honor of senior day, or what do you guys think about that?
Well, I'm going to say yes, just because it's senior day and, this is the last season playing. So, it would be really special if he would just start.
Yeah, I agree. Like I just mentioned earlier, they have 2 great quarterbacks. So, if anything, just put the other guy in. And I think regardless, the Warhawks will be fine.
Yeah, see, I actually do think that Cole Wilbur should continue to start, keep the offense going, keep that first unit strong. But I would really hope to see the Warhawks jump out to a quick and early lead. That way, Chris Nelson can get on the field. A couple of other seniors that aren't getting a ton of playing time can get on the field and really show their mark in their last regular season game there at Perkins Stadium. All right, let's move on to baseball and to the World Series.
Okay. In baseball news, the Cubs kept the fans' hope alive as the team defeated the Indians 3-2 at Wrigley Field on Sunday night. The series stands 3-2 in favor of Cleveland when this show was taped, and the team heads to Cleveland for Game 6. A road win for the Cubs will be tough against the Indians, but Jake Arrieta will be on the mound for Chicago. Arrieta gave up just 1 hit in Game 2, and the fans are hoping he'll show a similar pitching strength in Game 6. Can the Cubs come back and win the series?
I do think that they have the chance. You mentioned that they're starting Jake Arrieta here for the next game, which will give them a chance to really come back and tie it up 3-3. And with the Cubs batting, you really can never count them out of a single game. They're always going to be in it. Regardless, I know that the Indians will likely start Kluber in that Game 7, who's been lights out in the playoffs. But you know what? Kershaw is one of the best playoff pitchers of all time, and he got absolutely lit up by the Cubs there in that last series. He gave up 5 runs, so I do believe that they'll always have a chance to win games.
The Cubs are going to win Game 6 because of one man, Jake Arrieta. I'm fully confident in that. What I think, overall, yes, I do think the Cubs are going to win the series. But I think, if anything, for Game 7, Kyle Hendricks, who's going to be the starting pitcher for the Cubs, has got to play better. We've seen him struggle in this series, in the postseason, really in the last couple series that they played. So I think, if anything, the Cubs have got to get out to a hot start on the pitching side of things. And if they do that, and their bats are hot, I think they'll be okay.
Well, they're starting Josh Tomlin. He's going to be the starting pitcher for Game 6. And he was using his curveball he started in Game 3, and he was really getting the flow of things, and he really knew what he was doing. So I have faith in the Indians that they're going to not blow this lead.
All right, yeah, and you were the only one of us to pick the Indians there at the start of the series. Are you feeling good about that pick right now?
Obviously. Women are never wrong, and I'm not about to be wrong right now.
All right. We'll see how that plays out for you. Yeah, we mentioned earlier that Kyle Hendricks is starting Game 7. I'm a little iffy about that decision. Obviously, I don't know what goes into them picking who starts when. But I think, if anything, he's got to play well, and they've got to get on the bats early. They've got to jump out to that early lead. I just haven't been able to see Cleveland come back and get those comeback wins. They obviously got hot late in the season, and you saw a lot of comeback wins for them in the regular season. But as of late, they just haven't been able to do it.
Yeah, and I'm going to continue picking the Cubs just because it seems like every time I pick against them, they're gonna do the exact opposite, So I don't want to say that the Cubs are going to win it all, or I say that the Indians are going to win it all and have the Cubs come back and ruin my first pick. So I'm going to keep riding the Cubs, and hopefully that they will be able to come back. We're going to take our first break here. Coming back, we will talk about college football and the NBA. So stay tuned here to Peomiosfyrds.
Warhawks know what it takes to become champions. At the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, our student athletes pursue excellence with a determination that inspires everyone on campus. Warhawks are smart. Warhawks are strong. Warhawks value service. We prepare our student athletes for life after college. The University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Come be part of the Warhawk family.
The UC can get you connected to all your basic needs. Grab a coffee and a meal. Study by the fireplace. Bowl, play, and relax when you want a break from homework. The UC has much more to offer to Whitewater students. Go to the UC's website to see what's going on this week.
Here at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, we ensure the safety of others. Our CSOs provide a number of services, such as vehicle jump starts, vehicle unlocks, building lockouts, and walking escorts. Do not be afraid to call 472-4660. CSOs, always there to protect and serve.
Welcome to the University Bookstore. The University Bookstore provides students with the opportunity to purchase apparel, gift items, textbooks, snacks, supplies, and other necessities right here on campus. The bookstore is also home to textbook rental, where you can find many of your required textbooks. Our friendly staff always goes the extra mile to provide customers with a quick and pleasant experience. Visit the bookstore today to find great deals on everything you need to succeed as a Warhawk.
All right, in college football, the top four remain the same, but in the ACC, things got a little heated off the field. The ACC announced that it was fining Florida State $20,000 and University of Pittsburgh $5,000. These fines came after each school's head coach criticized the officiating in the post-game press conferences. Florida State head coach Jimbo Fisher said a fourth quarter penalty for a hit below the waist was, quote, cowardly, gutless, and wrong, end quote. Should Jimbo Fisher have been fined for these remarks?
I'm just going to say yes, because there is a rule, a policy against publicly criticizing any of the officials and everything like that. So he knew he was wrong, and he was saying he was attacking the character of the official. So I think it is wrong. I mean, I don't know if it's worth 20 grand, but you never, I mean, it's against the rules, and he should know that. So yes, I think he deserves it.
Yeah, I do think that Jimbo Fisher should have been fined. The Pittsburgh head coach, Pat Narduzzi, I do not believe should have been fined. After the game, he made a couple comments saying that the Virginia Tech receivers got away with a couple offensive interference calls, offensive pass interference. I really don't think that's warranting of any fine, let alone a $5,000 fine. But the Jimbo Fisher one, calling a referee cowardly, gutless. Those are two things that are attacking his character. They're not attacking his play or his refereeing ability, the plays in the game. They're just attacking his character, and I do believe that that is worthy of a fine. I mean, that's almost kind of like libel in a way, in a sense. And, and another reason that I think it should be fined is because really I saw the game. I was watching the game at live time. It was a penalty. The guy, he blocked a player on the side below the waist, which you're not allowed to do. So I don't know what Jimbo Fisher was all mad about.
Yeah, I agree. Jimbo Fisher, his remarks were, you just can't do that. There's just no character in that. I think if you're going to try to set an example for your players in particular, you're setting an example for your players, you're setting an example for your school. That's why I think in college, this being in college football makes it that much of a bigger deal. In the NFL, everybody's got an ego and everybody's going to say stuff. But I think since this is college, it becomes a way bigger deal, and it's just you look at the bigger picture of things. You look at what he's representing. He's not representing his school and his players very well by saying all that.
Mm-hmm. But again, it's not fair because if the press are asking these coaches any questions, they're going to give their honest opinion. So if you really think about it, there is some gray area with this policy. So I just think that people need to take into consideration that they need to be respectful of the officials, but give their honest opinion.
All right, and we're going to move on to the NBA. The NBA playoff picture is always changing. Just think that 4 years ago, the Miami Heat were the clear-cut best team in basketball, and the Warriors were poised to make their first playoff run in 5 seasons. In fact, there hasn't been a year where all 8 playoff teams inside either conference repeated since the NBA expanded to a 30-team league in 2001. So with that being said, we're most likely going to see at least one new playoff team in each conference. What team do you guys see emerging this year?
I like the LA Lakers on the western side, or in the Western Conference. They're very strong on the guard on the guard position with Jordan Clarkson, who's averaging 13.7 points per game right now, and then the young guy D'Angelo Russell is averaging 16.3 points per game. So I think at the guard position they're very strong, and also you've got guys like Luol Deng in there. My old Bulls favorite. Very sad to see him go, but regardless, he's playing well. And yeah, on the eastern side, I'm going to go with the Chicago Bulls. They're a new look team. Obviously not the talk of new look teams when you've got the Golden State Warriors around, but they're a new look team. And I think Dwayne Wade. People talk about his age. He's not going to play well. I think Dwayne Wade's going to come alive here before too long, and the Bulls are going to be a very good team.
I also picked the Bulls. Just because they have Jimmy Butler, Dwayne Wade, and they also have Michael Carter-Williams, who might be good anytime soon. Who knows?
We'll have to wait and see on that one.
And their two strengths that matter most are the offensive rebounding and then making 3 free throws. And I don't think that's very pushed on by coaches. Like, it's very important because you can lose so many points by just not making free throws. And Jimmy Butler is averaging 81%, and Dwayne Wade is averaging 77%. So I think they have a good team.
All right, so my team in the East is the New York Knicks. I talked a lot about them last week. They traded Jose Calderon, who was the worst starting point guard in the NBA, and they got Derrick Rose out of that. So they've made improvements at both point guard, at the shooting guard position. They got Kristaps Porzingis, last year's second place Rookie of the Year, coming back and looking much stronger here in his sophomore season. But my team in the West, who I'm even more confident about, is the Utah Jazz. And the reason I'm really confident in them is that defense wins championships. Last year, the Utah Jazz were 7th in the NBA in defensive efficiency, and that really didn't tell the whole story. Their best defender, Rudy Gobert, who also finished 6th in the NBA in individual defensive efficiency, missed an entire month that threw off their defensive rating completely off whack, so they were even better than 7th. When you're elite on one side of the basketball, that's really going to help you move into the playoff picture. And they were only 2 games out last year. They finished 40-42, while the Rockets got into the playoffs at 41-41. So they don't really need to improve that much in order to get into playoffs, and I do think that they will make that improvement.
Yeah, they're definitely a good team. I just, like I said earlier, the Lakers, they're a young team first of all, and yeah, Kobe Bryant's gone, but I still think that they have the personnel to be a decent team.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
All right, coming up after the break, we're going to take a look at the NFL and the NHL right here on Peomiosfyrds.
University Center at UW-Whitewater is here to enhance the campus experience. Today, we're going to find out how the UC gets you connected.
The UC gets me connected by providing a great place for me to study.
UC really gets me connected through the different offerings it has between the Warhawk Connection Center, so Impact, SAO.
The UC gets me connected by giving me a great place to socialize with friends.
UC gets me connected by meeting new people, playing pool, bowling.
The UC gets me connected by providing us with charging stations for our phones.
The UC gets me connected thanks to all the wonderful food selections.
Gets me connected to my next meal.
I come to the UC to meet with Spanish Club.
I come to the UC because it's a great place to study.
I come to the UC to get some homework done. My fraternity is always sitting here and they help me and support me to make sure my grades are as high as they can be.
I come to the UC to meet with student orgs. Remember, Warhawks, UC is here to get you connected.
Week 8 concludes the triple header in London with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Washington Redskins ending in a 27-27 tie. There's one more international game in Week 11 in Mexico City. Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, stated earlier in the year that he wants to place a team in London someday and definitely have more games there. So do you guys think the NFL will be successful if they go international?
It depends on what you mean by successful. If you mean successful in terms of having, will the NFL ever have a successful franchise in London? The answer is no. And that's simply because no NFL talent is going to want to go and play in London, where 8 weeks out of the year they're going to have to make at least minimum 10-hour flights to get back to America. I just think it's a real struggle to get players themselves to want to go over to another country to play in this league. So really, the London team would have to build almost exclusively through the draft. And I don't know if you guys have noticed that with expansion teams, they really do need the key free agent. A team like the Toronto Raptors, for example, they struggled mightily for their first 20 years, especially in retaining stars. They lost players like Vince Carter, Chris Bosh, Tracy McGrady. They lost all these guys because no one wants to stay in another country in a league that's dominated by America. So I don't think that a franchise can be successful. I do think, however, that these 3 games that they're playing right now can be increased to almost every week they could play a game in London, and I do believe that that would be successful and really spread the game of football across the world.
Yeah, I think it would be, I think the fans overseas would enjoy it, but I do not think that this decision would be good for the game of football. Mm-hmm. I don't think, kind of like what you said, Colton, no player is going to want to go over there, and football is an American sport. You look at other sports that are played so largely internationally, soccer, baseball even. Football is an American sport. No disrespect to any other country, but I like seeing football as an American sport, and I like seeing these occasional international games. I think it's fun and exciting. Wembley Stadium in London is an iconic stadium, and I think it's fun having a football game there. But regardless, I just think it should stay the way it is. You look at hockey, the NHL has teams in Canada that are part of the NHL, but Canada is huge for hockey. Mm. The NFL, you're just not going to find any place where it's going to be the same outside of America.
I will say the best thing, though, is waking up on Sunday and just having football to watch.
Right away.
That's my favorite thing. But the Jaguars have an agreement to play 1 game per year, so they lose a home game. And that's since 2013 and going to 2020. So they're sending bad teams like that over there, so it's really not getting London fans excited. But I mean, overall, I don't think it's a terrible idea to make money for the league, but I don't think it's going to work.
All right, and we're going to send it to the NHL now.
Sitting atop the Central Division of the Western Conference in the NHL is the Minnesota Wild. The St. Louis Blues sit in second, and the Chicago Blackhawks sit in third. The Wild's star left wing Zach Parise is currently week to week with a lower body injury. Wild goaltender Devin Dubnyk also has the 5th best save percentage in the league. Are the Wild a team that can stay consistent throughout this season, or can the Blues, the Blackhawks, catch up to them?
I do think that the Wild's play is sustainable. Last year they finished 5 games over 500, and that clearly wasn't good enough for them as they fired their head coach midway through the season. So them finishing 5 games over 500 is not good enough, so they need to make improvements. And really, an improvement over that is really good. And if you guys think back to just 2 years ago, they were only 2 games behind the Blackhawks, 3 games behind the Blues. They're definitely a team that's able to produce these wins around the area that the Blues and the Blackhawks are going to. And I also said earlier in the show that I do believe that the Blackhawks will be a little bit down in their wins from their typical numbers just because they're a little bit weaker on the defensive end than normal.
I will agree with you, and the Wild is a good team, but I still think that the Blackhawks are going to take the lead here just because Chris Stewart he's not healthy, he needs to get sick, and they're also the Wild is having salary cap issues, and so I think they just need to figure out their roster, and they're having too many problems this season to actually do well.
You know, if anything, I think eventually the Blackhawks are going to have trouble with the Blues. You see, that's always a rivalry, and I don't think that the Wild are going to continue to hold this spot for much longer. I know Cody, one of our guys up in the control room, is not going to be happy with me saying that. But regardless, you know, the Blackhawks, I think, yes, they have a lot of stuff they need to work on, but it's early in the season, and I think eventually they'll be able to really kind of make the chase for the Western Conference championship. But I do think they need some stuff. They need a lot of work that needs to be done. Also, just you look at the Wild. Yeah, they've got a great roster and they've got good goaltending, but you know they're in the rebuilding process, in my opinion. Like you said, Colton, they fired their head coach midway through last season. There's just no way that I think that they can make a strong rebound in this little time.
Yes, yeah, I do believe that they're going to be able to make that rebound that you're talking about. They're also a lot more balanced than a lot of the other power teams in the NHL. Teams like the Blues, like the Blackhawks, for example, they rely on their stars. And I think the Wild have a more deep and balanced team, and that'll help them going into the season. All right, and we're going to take our final break here. But when we come back, we're going to go through our 2-minute drills. So stay tuned here to Peomiosfyrds.
At the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, we're passionate about learning. Our talented faculty members blend teaching with research, creating hands-on learning experiences for students. Warhawk pride thrives at UW-Whitewater, where student-athletes excel on the field and in the classroom, where diversity is celebrated. A tradition of excellence 140 years in the making. Find your passion here.
Here at UW-Whitewater Intramural Sports, we have a motto: a sport for everyone and everyone in a sport.
Come on! Accepted anyways. Oh, she got that. Oh, they're going to count it.
Had a blast. Always have fun at intramurals.
Every day we strive to go above and beyond that goal by providing healthy exercise, promoting leisure education, and giving students that competitive atmosphere they are looking for.
Yes! Yes!
It's exciting. Brings me back to those high school days with Friday Night Lights.
With our 25 different intramural sports offered, we guarantee that we have a sport for you. Go to our website and find your sport today.
Welcome to Jitters Coffee Lounge. Located on the first floor of the Wells Complex, Jitters is a student-ran, volunteer-based coffee lounge, open nightly from 8 p.m. to midnight. Jitters Coffee Lounge is home to classic hot and frozen drinks with our favorite, the Oreo-gasm. Jitters offers live music, karaoke, and comedy events featuring both local and guest talents. For more information, visit our website at uwww.jitters.org. Jitters Coffee Lounge. We'll keep you up all night.
All right, welcome back, and let's run through our 2-minute drill, and I will get us started. My final thought here today is that after that 34-33 loss on Sunday, the Packers need to face facts. We need a new cornerback. We need probably multiple new cornerbacks as we're down to our 4th string and our 5th string as our starters. We need a lot of help, and that really was a glaring issue. We saw it in the 4th quarter of the game on Sunday. The Packers took the lead with a little bit over 3 minutes remaining, and Matt Ryan literally walked down the field. Like, the Packers weren't even trying to stop him, it seemed like. Just waltzed down the field like nothing was happening. Recently, the Cleveland Browns have made their two-time Pro Bowl cornerback Joe Hayden available in trade talks. I know the Packers just made their first trade since 2010, acquiring Niles Davis, who already got cut. I think they should make their second trade since 2010 and figure out a way to get Joe Hayden in there because the Packers need some help in the secondary.
The year was 1997. And in that year was the last time that two NFL games ended in a tie in the same season. Also that year, the Cleveland Indians lost in Game 7 of the World Series. What does that tell you? Go Cubs, go, baby. All I got to say.
All right, I'll be moving into basketball. So Russell Westbrook is breaking records. He is the first player in NBA history with 100 points, 30 rebounds, and 30 assists in his first 3 games of the season. So if the Thunder's not a team to watch out for, and he definitely might be an MVP candidate to me.
Yeah, and to speak about the Cleveland Indians blowing the game in 7, I really would love to see Cleveland lose a 3-1 lead. All right, and that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching, and for more national sports news, tune in to Peomiosfyrds every week. For Alex Bergman, Blake Harmit, I'm Colton Hagstrom. Thank you, and tune in next week.